everybody can take it. What doesn't get taken goes to the charity shop across the road at the end of the meeting. Right? People trade milk, chickens, eggs, meat, whatever. Some of it's quite illegal. Plants, of course, seeds, books, all sorts. But we have a guest speaker, etc. I was really happy. It was going really well. And it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I had to go overseas and work. And I had to leave it with someone. I birthed it. I birthed the group. No gurus. No gurus. You can't have a guru. You can't have someone who's the champion all the time. Right? Your newsletter should not eat the group. Well, we used to have the newsletter should not eat the group.
What does it mean?
Newsletter.
What does it mean?
Don't let some crazy, frustrated editor turn it into a newsletter and not a group. Right? There's always someone who wants to make the new Permaculture Vogue magazine. Right? Don't let them do it. Right? Just now it's PageMaker on a computer. We didn't have computers. We were using what was called paper. Right? We had a paper newsletter. So I saw permaculture groups turn into a newsletter and get sold as a newsletter, not a meeting. Right? Keep education at the center of the group. Keep education at the center of the group. The smallest courses right up to the PDC. We had cooking courses, we had gardening courses, we had building courses, we had natural building courses, but all sorts. I used to teach a part-time PDC, weekends only, 6 weekends, $350. 350 Australian dollars, and you can take a PDC with me. Bring your own chair, bring your own lunch. I give you a tea break with some tea and coffee, that's it. Right? I give you some photocopied notes, but it really didn't give you very much. You got the course, bring your own chair. We're sitting outside on the station at the butter factory underneath the awning. And it's really a very like basic catered course. But everybody was local. You're training your own troops. You're training your own workers, the people who are going to work in the group. And when it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, I ended up getting invited to go to Northern New South Wales by Bill Mollison to manage the Permaculture Institute. So suddenly I was 3 hours away. And I couldn't come to every meeting. And I came to a meeting one night, and I couldn't get in the room. It was that big. There's more than 100 people, and they're spilling outside the hall. And because I'm the founder, I don't normally see the group from outside. When I'm inside the group, everyone wants to talk to me. They want me to present. People want to talk to me about questions or whatever. And I arrived and I was late. Right? And I was outside, and I didn't go in. I just looked over at me and another guy was late. We were just looking over everyone's shoulders, and it was really happening. It was like group meeting was really started. There was everybody there. Mum, Dad, the kids, dogs, millionaires, farm workers, painters, bricklayers, electricians, unemployed, homeless, everybody. It's like you lot. Look at you lot. You ever look around at yourself? You're an unusual model of people. You're typically permaculture, right? You would scare the living daylights out of a politician. 100 of you is 2,000 people in the voting block. A politician walks in the room and there's you lot there. Probably you've got a couple of dogs and kids with you. Well, you've got a kid, you've got Leo out there, and our kids are running through, right? And you walk in, a politician, it just stands for bullshit, right? And he just stands for, he or she stands for a politician because they're insecure people. That's why they become politicians. Right? And they just look at everybody and they go, 100 people looking like this? Hell, what do they stand for? Because you represent 20 people each in the voting block. That's 2,000 people. 100 people like you mean 2,000 voters in a small town like Roy. You're staring political death in the eye. If you don't understand what you're about, that politician's dead. You're not going to get voted in. Now you're really insecure. So that politician is going to say, oh, like, you're going to study up what you're about. And then he's going to come in and make you promises. Oh, put in a permaculture park, and we're going to do lots of things in the streetscape, and we're going to improve compost toilets. We're going to do this and this and this. Of course, today, not in the early days, but today, there's someone like, what was he said? Like, yeah, like, get him on film, get her on film. What did they promise us? That's what we do today. That's really powerful. That's really powerful. And we had weird things, really weird things. I was in a group, and we had the first meeting. I put it in the local newspaper. I have the advert frame. Anybody want to help? Anyone want to start a permaculture group? Anyone want to help start a permaculture group? Meet at the Surf Life Saving Club at 7 o'clock. It was actually a Surf Life Saving Club because I used to manage the kids at the Surf Life Saving Club. I was a trainer at the Surf Life Saving Club. And I had access to the free hall. Now I just got a free hall and put an advert. In fact, 7 people came. One of those people was still an active member of the group actually. But 7 people came. And then next group, a bit more. I paid for the hall. I paid for the tea and coffee. I brought my permaculture books and put them on the table. I was the show. There wasn't anything else. I just said, look, you want to start a permaculture group? I'll bring everything I can. They're my books, they're my team. If you want to help me, give me a gold coin, which is $1 or $2. A gold coin donation would be appreciated, but it's not essential. Right? That was how I started. And each week a few more people came. And eventually we became a formal group. But we had to have a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer, and a membership. We're going to have 4 people. President represents a group. Vice president's a great job. You don't do anything unless the president doesn't turn up. Secretary's got to do all the writing and correspondence, but if there's nothing going on, there's nothing to do because you just started. And the treasurer is the most responsible job. You have to make sure everything balances in the books. Right? But there's nothing going on to start with. You know what? Within 2 years, I had 18 people turn up to a committee meeting. 18 people? That's not a committee meeting, that's a meeting. That's how popular our group became. You look at a not-for-profit community group locally, you can't get a quorum. You know what a quorum is?
Yes.
Half the committee plus 1 means you can make a vote. You can't even make a quorum normally. We had 18 people turn up. Like shit, you can't run a committee meeting with 18 people. That's chaos. There was that much. We had 5 people wanting to be president. 5 people in the group wanting to be president. You don't get that happening in a normal group. A not-for-profit community group with 5 people wanting to be president. All kinds of crazy things happen. We have a committee meeting the week before the meeting, so it's the 3rd Wednesday of the month. There's a committee meeting. We had a guy called Reg. Reg was English. He was a retired jeweler. He had a jewellery shop in Melbourne, right in the middle of Melbourne, most of his life. And Reg was about as tight-assed, old fuddy-duddy that I've ever come across. I would never be socialising with a Reg. Reg would not be in my extended family. Reg was an orchid grower turned permaculturist, retired jeweler. But you get to meet people you would normally, just like you have here, you get to meet people you don't normally meet in permaculture. But Reg had been in every club, he'd been in the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, the Bowls Club, he'd been in every club, right? And he'd been on the committee in every club. He knew the rules. Reg knew the rules. And if we were proposing something, all you had to do was get it past the Reg test. If Reg said it was okay, it was going to work, right? Nobody was going to be able to touch it. So Reg was okay, right? Reg was grey-haired. He's probably passed on now. Funny old guy. So I mention this because Reg was also in a subversive group because you don't know who are rebels. You don't know who are rebels in this room. They're not telling you. There are secret rebels in this room.
Yeah. Some not so secret. Hey, Charles.
There are subversive people.
Anti-gravity guy.
In amongst the group, we had all kinds of interesting things. And we also had a lot of tropical ladies. We had ladies from New Guinea, we had ladies from Samoa, we had ladies from Tonga, we had ladies from Philippines and Thailand, and they garden different to the European ladies. The European ladies are great subtropical winter gardeners. The tropical ladies are not good in winter. But the tropical ladies, boy, can they grow a summer garden. They can grow a corn and squash and snake bean, cassava, garden. It's a digging stick machete garden. And the tropical ladies can teach the European ladies, and the European ladies can teach the tropical ladies so they can mix it up a bit. But we had all kinds of things going on. But then I found out there was a subversive group. There was a group of young people, and they rented a house with a big garage. And in the garage, they had a little manufacturing plant. And they were manufacturing garden stakes, hardwood garden stakes. And they were painted them white at the top, really well made. And on the top of the stake is the top of the garden stake, hardwood. They were painted white at the top. And one of them was a sign writer. And he could do one stroke sign writing, which is the one stroke of a brush. And on the top it was NSC. Noosa Shire Council. Noosa Shire Council. It was they had a manufacturing plant of imitating the Noosa Shire Council tree planting stakes. By the hundred, if not the thousand. They worked in there very, very with great industrial approach to it. Right? And at night, they go out all camoed up in the early hours in the morning with trees in the back of their cars and these stakes. And they go out planting fruit trees all the way through the streets and plugging into the Noosa Shire Council irrigation system. And in some cases, they take out native trees and plant them in the bush and plant mangoes and all kinds of stuff, right? All the way through the streets. And the council worker who comes along and maintains the tree, he's not a horticulturalist, he's just a maintenance guy. And he goes, oh, they maintenance cool. He'll weed it, make sure it's healthy, we did roundabouts, and all kinds of stuff. All the way down to surf break, all the way down the beach, all appropriate species, sweet potatoes across the landscape everywhere, it's crazy. So I thought that was pretty mad, these young guys doing this really enthusiastic thing, and it was working. Well, there was another group, and Reg was sitting. That nothing shocked me more than this Reg was in there. And they were old people, and they had grey hair and blue rinses, and they were just a bunch of radicals. They were writing letters. And they were 18 months in front of themselves. They were 18 months out in front. This is Yahya from the Ministry of Agriculture.
Thank you.
He was one of our students and has received some of our funding from our proposals to do permaculture projects with the Ministry of Agriculture. So I like, okay, so what are they doing? They're writing letters to the paper.
I told this one.
Did you? Probably not as good as I've told.
No, I didn't.
But they...
We've got 15 minutes.
Yeah. Did you tell them about what happened when the councillor came in? Yeah, you did. So, he stole my glory. But that was shocking that Reg was in there and both groups didn't know each other. Well, it's kind of crazy, the power of a group. But when I came up and I looked at about 100 people, I suddenly felt like I was going to drown. I felt like I was in a room that was going to drown. I was filling up with water and I was going to hit the ceiling and run out of air. It's any system that's oversupplied with energy that can't put productive use goes into chaos. And you've got to occupy people. And you've got to give them something to do. And there's people of all ages and all backgrounds and all kinds of skills. And then I looked, and as usual, I looked here in the manual, and then I realised that the answer was in page 510, chapter 14, bioregional resources, list of bioregional resources. It's 2.5 pages of elements that you need in any community to be really truly self-sufficient. So page 510, chapter 14, bioregional resources. Now I look at it and it's a list and I can't deal with it. It's not my style. So I made the very first mind map I've ever made in my life, as big as this wall, with butcher's paper stuck on the wall. I made a giant mind map, and then I walk around it and understand it, because it's like looking at a tree, but the tree's not symmetrical, it's asymmetrical, it's lopsided of it. And when I could see it as like a mind map, and I'd never made a mind map, and now I run mind map programs, I realised that it was a fractal mind map as well. So it goes out in fractals, and it covers 9 main subjects, and then secondary subjects, and third fractal subjects. So you might look at a subject, one of them I like to quote is health. Health we need to know about, and there is a second fractal on health, and a third fractal. But one of the second fractals is morbidity. What do we die of? And then the third fractal is it accidents and injuries? Right? And as another one, is it drug addictions? Right? And what are they? What are the accidents and injuries? And you need to keep a check on this, because as a designer, that's something you need to try and reduce. Where I live, it used to be tractors, chainsaws, snake, in that order. Tractor and chainsaw, but then a new technology came in called the quad bike, or the ATV. So now we've got tractor, ATV, chainsaw, snake bike. When I hear the ambulance go up our valley, which is a dead-end road, it is going to be probably one of those. So there's, wherever I go in the world, I look at what are people dying of, and what are their general illnesses. The hospital will actually tell you. Here there's some strange things, because 4 out of 5 women in this valley get goiters, right? And they get a swollen thyroid gland. 4 out of 5, right? And then when you look at that medically, it is because of a deficiency of iodine. That can be that there's no iodine in salt, but there is iodine in the salt here. It can be that you're not eating enough fish. Yeah, they don't eat enough ocean fish because you've not got a lot of ocean fish. The other way you can have very little iodine in your food is because you're in a heavy rainfall area with tropical heat, where you're not in that. You're not in that. They do have whiting from the Atlantic. You can buy frozen whiting as a fish. You can buy canned fish. There is iodine in salt. Is it something else? There's one other thing it can be. Radioactivity in the air. There is a nuclear power station downwind. Right? No one's necessarily going to prove that or looking at it this way round, but they should. Right? Because you don't just get 4 out of 5 women getting this for nothing. It's not nothing. This is evidence. So you can pick that up with this fractal. You can pick it up with this system. So I digitized it. I even made a video about it. I give it to my students. I've given it to you. I'll just show it to you, because once I occupied everybody, there's 101 positions. There's 101 positions. And you can put, no, Bill says, don't put more than 3 people in each position. He says 1's good, unless they argue with themselves. 2's good, because you can usually settle an argument. And 3's about maximum, because at least you've got an odd number to sort out an argument. But don't put any more. So you've got enough for, over 300 people can research this. You might find you fit in different places too. You might perch here in the tree and also over there. But what you get is information. You gather information and you give it to the center, and the center gives it to everybody. You don't centralize the information. You bring in the information to the bioregional organization center, and they give it to everybody else. You don't centralize it where it can be corrupted. You make sure it's open information for everybody. If you look at this, you think, this is what I'd like my local government to do. That's what, I should be able to get that information from my local government. I want to know how, I want to know a vet, right, that does my horse shoes. I want to know a vet that treats my horse's feet. It's called a farrier. I want to know where I get my local seed for vegetables. I want to know where my tree nurseries are. I want to know where my local building materials are. There's just enormous amounts of things that would make it so much easier if you had that list filled in wherever you guys are going to go. It would be anywhere in the world. I've translated this list into Portuguese, Vietnamese, Vietnam, right? Yeah, I've translated it into Swahili. Right? It's just easy to translate. If you give it to someone and say, translate this please, and put it back together in this form, they've got it. And it's just like, and all of a sudden the group had something to really do. You know, it like gave everybody something to be involved in. They weren't competing about what they were giving, because like what Sam said, giving. Everybody wants to give, they can be competitive. But when you absorb people with something to get involved with, it makes a big difference for people. Yeah, you're on, oh, nearly off then. Don't do the video, but just do the station.
I think it's the.
There it is. That's page 510.